President Boadu has appointed former General Secretary of the NPP, John Boadu, as the Director General of the State Insurance and Governance Authority, SIGA. A letter dated 11th December and signed by Nana Asante-Bediatu, Secretary to the President, and addressed to Mr. Boadu, said the appointment is pending receipt of the constitutionally required advice of the governance body of the authority given in consultation with the Public Services Commission. Mr. John Boadu replaces Ambassador Edward Boateng. SIGA was established on June 7, 2019, under the SIGA Act 2019, Act 990, with a mandate to oversee and administer the performance of state-owned enterprises, joint venture companies, and other state entities in Ghana. We'll be getting more on this from my colleague, Raymond Akwa, who has just joined me. He's the head of the research desk. What does the letter appointing John Boadu say, Raymond?
Specifically says, press 1 to Section 17(2) of the State Interest and Governance Authority Act 2019, Act 990. I am pleased to inform you that the President has appointed you to act as the Director General. And it says here, let's not get it wrong, to act as the Director General of the State Interest and Governance Authority, into brackets, the authority, pending receipt of the constitutionally required advice of the governing board of the authority, given in consultation with the Public Services Commission. And I want you to note that this letter was actually dated the 11th of December, 2023. And it proceeds to say, I take the opportunity to congratulate you on your appointment. Kindly indicate your acceptance or otherwise of the appointment within 14 days of the receipt of this particular letter. Please accept the President's best wishes. Nana Asante-Bediatu is Secretary to the President, and it is actually sent to Mr. John Boadu and copied to the Vice President, the Chief of Staff, the Honorable Minister for Public Enterprises, of course, who oversees that particular sector, and the Chairperson of the Public Services Commission, then the Board Chairman of the State Interest and Governance Authority.
Raymond, tell us a bit about SIGA. I mean, we want to understand what SIGA does and how John Boadu, the former NPP General Secretary, fits in.
You know, we've complained that for a very long time as a country, the government institutions that are state-owned enterprises, joint ventures, and the other ones that we have interest in. That's why we put it together as State Interest and Governance Authority. Yeah. It is because some of these companies have been run poorly in times past, right from hotels straight to government, big companies and others, and we have all complained about how they've been run. Yeah. We formed SIGA with a deliberate mandate to ensure that the governance structures of these state institutions work out properly, that they are under a sector, an authority that would not only intervene but ensure they do the right thing. You recall, part of the mandate of SIGA is to set a standard for them to operate. Make sure that they will follow the proper governance structures that's supposed to be going through for every government institution. I'm talking about state-owned enterprise here, and joint ventures, and also institutions where government has interest, which is very important here. So all of these three categories are the ones. You remember the SIGA puts out a report that lists so many of these SOEs and whether they are making losses or not making losses. Yeah. They, at a point, even sign contracts with CEOs of these SOEs with the intent that you live by the dictates of this contract so that our state-owned enterprises and joint ventures do not become a burden on the state. Yeah. Let's not forget, there was some time that their debt became the national debt and pushed it into a very tight corner. That is why we felt an institution to oversee all of them, a huge number of them, and they come to mind from the ECGs of this country, straight to the water companies of this country, straight to the other institutions like the publishing company, the cylinder manufacturing company, all of them. And not only that, the ones that we have done joint venture with other private entities, we also include them. And the ones that we have specific interest and shares that we want somebody to superintend and oversee in a proper way, that is the job of the State Interest and Governance Authority.
And how does John Boadu fit in? I mean, he's a former General Secretary.
No, I mean, that's an interesting question. I'm sure because the President has the right to appoint one, the qualification criteria would be set by the Public Services Commission. They will now review the man according to the standards they have for public service appointments. That is why the president says, I want you to act until I get the desired response from the constitutionally mandated institution to do the job. The interesting part of this appointment is the connection that on the same day the appointment is said to have been issued, we have seen, and of course there was an earlier indication shared with the public from the SIGA itself, talking about the appointment of a new Director General and the State Interest and Governance Authority. The letter says the State Interest and Governance Authority is pleased to announce the appointment of Ms. Hollister Duayen-Tumi Esquire as his new Acting Director General. Let's not forget, Mr. Boadu will also act until the required procedure by the Public Service Commission is gone through. That is when the confirmation can be done. Effective Monday, 20th November 2023. Ms. Hollister, until her new role, was serving as the General Manager in charge of operations. The interesting part is that the day we all saw this letter is the same day that the John Boadu letter was also issued.
So there needs to be some clarity.
So if SIGA or somebody had appointed an acting manager, how come on the same day they communicated to the public? Because it appears that the woman had been in office since the 20th.
Of November.
Yes. And Mr. Boadu's same day communication came together. What are the permutations that you can actually put to this at this point? Why is the public indication of the communication almost the same on both fronts? Secondly, is there a tussle as to who is really required to do the job here? And would it have been possible for her to continue in her acting capacity until the very person of John Boadu is cleared by the Public Services Commission to take up the role in this case? Now, the other third question also is something that many people within SIGA and around SIGA would understand at this point. Is there really some form of infighting? Is there a grouping within SIGA that believes that this woman has worked with SIGA for God knows how long? And in terms of the outlook we want for an institution like that, somebody like Mr. Boadu may not be the best fit to be replacing it. Of course, we agree that it's the president's responsibility to choose who does the job. But is that the reason why on the same day, this announcement from SIGA that there's an acting boss was communicated, that's the same day that Mr. Boadu's letter was also made.
But the only difference is that the communication, one is coming from SIGA and one is coming from the appointing authority. So definitely that would supersede that of SIGA, I believe so. Thank you so much, Raymond, for sharing those details with us. Now, persons living in some middle and upper class communities in the Ashanti region are apathetic in participating in the upcoming district level elections. Respondents cite low interest of assembly members in developing their communities. Although the Electoral Commission believes it will record a 60% voter turnout, persons living in these residential communities are not enthused to participate in the polls. Nana Boachi Adam has more.
The local level elections slated for December 19th will be conducted across 6,272 electoral areas in all districts nationwide. Over the period, the process has witnessed low voter turnouts. However, the Electoral Commission is optimistic of a 60% voter turnout in this year's election. But people living in some residential areas in Kumasi, especially in Shayeso, Adiembra, TUC and Santase, are unwilling to participate in the election due to what they describe as neglect of developmental projects.
The high street lights and a crown for higher agony. Street lights in the end, they be a crown for Yamami free. And I guess you could have done no more how much.
We have issues with street lights and theft, so we have decided not to participate in these elections.
We need help. I decided to vote, but not anymore. I heard of the election on radio, but I won't vote because they don't do anything for us.
The communities are calm, although campaign banners and stickers of candidates are visible. Godswill Blasu lives in the Adjunasi Amamfrum electoral area.
Oh,
It has been rolling on our screens day in, day out. And the assemblymen, I don't know what exactly they are doing. They are just, I don't know whether it's for the namesake. I don't know, so that the people will be calling them honorable. My concern is about the road. Taxi drivers don't come here. If you go to the Star Station, they don't come here. So sometimes you are even in need of car to go to town. You don't get car. I don't see the essence of having a assemblyman in this area. Me, I'm not even going to vote.
Emmanuel Eji Dakon is the incumbent assembly member for the Ejunase Amanfrom electoral area.
The commissioner, the publication is very, very low because of the time frame that was given. The publication is very, very low. Here at Star or Dino Kwadaso, the development, especially their roads, have been complaining about their roads. So it seems whenever you go to the indigents or the voter to at least to campaign to the person, that person will tell you, I've seen no development in my area. So why is it necessary for me to come and vote?
Well, although the EC continues to intensify its campaign in ensuring a massive voter turnout during the district level election, it looks as if some residents still feel reluctant in participating in this whole electoral process, especially residents living in residential areas. Well, they attribute the unwillingness to participate in this electoral process to underdevelopment over the years. For Joy News, my name is Nana Boachitanko Kumasi.
NDC parliamentary candidate for Borekum East in the Bono region, Simon Ampabin Treme, has accused city authorities of being irresponsible and playing political gimmicks with the deplorable road situation in the constituency. Residents of Sofochere and other communities are appealing to the government to fix the roads, and those calls have fallen on deaf ears. The parliamentary candidates offered to reshape the roads at about 75,000 cities to make them more trouble and ease the impact on residents, especially the aged and pregnant women. Precious Semevo has more.
We are suffering on the road, whether dry or rainy season. Mr. Afo sums up the frustrations of residents and users of the deplorable roads at Sofochere, Chireba and Nyametiase in the Borekum East municipality. They said they remain exposed to the dangers of driving the sick on the road and inhaling the dust after years of city authorities' failure to fix the roads despite the many demonstrations.
People cannot walk home if you don't work. It's worse for pregnant women who complain of pains at the least speed on the road. The parliamentary candidate of the NDC in Borekum East, Simon Ampabin Treme, offered to reshape the 25 kilometers of roads at about 75,000 cities. He said the gesture is a response to residents' call for help.
The road has really deteriorated to a level where it is seriously in more trouble. We have called on the authorities that be, the Pragya group, the citizenry, and all other well-meaning Borekum people have demonstrated time and again on this road. But the leaders and the powers that be have turned deaf ears on them. So the people called on me that if there's anything I could do to help them. I accepted their call. I decided to come in to kind of help, at least to bring relief to the people who ply this road and the very people who reside around this enclave. So we have started with this one from Berlin Junction all the way to the last stop. When we're done with this road, we're moving to Chiba. When we leave there, we are going to Nyametiase.
Some residents, though grateful, shared mixed reactions.
Normally,
we only see machines on the road during the election period. It needs proper filling and made compact so that even if they won't tie it, they can use it during the rainy season. Mr. Chairman accused the Borekum East Assembly of playing political gimmicks with the situation, but said he would continue to work in the interest of the people.
I see it as negligence and an act of irresponsibility on the part of the powers that be. And more importantly, playing political gimmick with the people of Borekum. When it was getting to an election, they brought a contractor on the road. Right after the elections, they left. We have demonstrated and demonstrated and demonstrated. We have called on the assembly, we have called on the MP. That kind of playing games with the minds of the people, we have gone past this level. And if anybody thinks that the contractor is coming to site, we're ready. We'll partner with the contractor and help them to facilitate the road.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Brekum.
A pro-youth group of the NDC, Christian Volta and Oti Youth Group, has urged the party's presidential candidate, John Mahama, to consider picking Leslie Mensah Tamaklo, an ICT and energy expert, as his running mate. The group believes that Mensah Tamaklo is the best candidate to help the NDC win the 2024 general elections and lead Ghana out of the economic ditch, since he has in-depth knowledge of the sector that play pivotal roles in the development of the country. Addressing the press in Pando, the convener of the group, John Amenuvo, asserted that the NDC selecting its running mate from the Ashanti region or repeating a running mate would be detrimental to the party's electoral fortunes.
Mr. Leslie Mensah Tamaklo comes to the leadership desk with a wide span of experience within the corridors of technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, infrastructure, and renewable energy relative to decades of industrial engagement with the World Bank. The Ghana-Japan Oil Consultancy, the Electromode Company Limited, Internet Ghana, and many others, which will make an endless list. Evidently, these areas have proven to be highly essential to the development of Ghana in recent times by reason of projected and received revenue seen in the budgets and policy plans by the failed incumbent government. In attempt to rescue this country, come January 7, 2025, as our campaign tagline suggests, it is necessary, without a second thought, to engage an individual, with such rich experiences to team up with the president and the able brains of the NDC to deliver development and progress to our stagnant economy. Additionally, the voter legacy of the NDC at its topmost point passed away with the demise of His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, may he so rest in peace, the father and founder of this great party, who signed the constitutional creation of this party with his blood. It is sufficient to believe that the selection of a running mate from the Volta region, a man who has paid his dues to the root, stem, and branch of the NDC, will equally be an honor to the fathers and the very soil that birthed the beliefs and ideologies of our great party. And again, reaffirm the position of the voter legacy at the forefront of affairs in the party. Nothing defeats honor, and we are sure it is an assurance of victory towards the December 2024 polls.
Leadership of the New Patriotic Party in the Bono East region, led by former Education Minister under the Eswal Kufuor administration, Professor Christopher Ameyo-Kumfi, has commenced activities geared towards improving the party's fortunes in the 2024 general elections. The move, according to the former legislator, is to motivate the candidates as well as enable them hit the ground early to improve the party's abysmal performance in the 2020 polls. Correspondent Anna Sabet has more.
The New Patriotic Party has begun its journey towards winning majority of the 11 seats across the Bono East region. The leadership of the party, led by the former Member of Parliament and Education Minister under the Eswal Kufuor administration, Professor Christopher Ameyo-Kumfi, is today donating motorbikes to the newly elected parliamentary candidates in the 8 orphan constituencies who were elected on the 2nd of this month. The move, according to the former legislator who doubles as the board chairman of the Public Procurement Authority, is to, amongst other things, motivate the parliamentary candidates to work towards winning the 2024 parliamentary polls.
The elders of the party in the region felt that we should have an initial meeting with them to advise them on what we expect from them. Advise them on the necessary initial contacts they ought to make, not only with their competitors, but with the constituencies in general. Well, the idea is to achieve some level of unity which is required for the general elections. So it's an appeal to them. We are going to assist them in the various constituencies in bringing everybody on board so that we can improve on the regional record.
He said the New Patriotic Party performed abysmally in the 2020 polls and more needs to be done to help improve the numbers next year.
In the last election, we didn't do too well. We had 5 seats in 2016, and we dropped 2 of them, came up with only 3. And to us in the leadership, we've always not felt comfortable with that level of performance. So this is the way, again, a way of motivating the candidates. Well, they are leaders in this fight. And once you get them sufficiently motivated, we believe that they can go into the field and do more serious work towards the general election.
Dean of the MMDCs in the region and MCE from Crown South, Daniel Oredu, is optimistic of winning majority of the seats and promised that the MMDCs in the area would give their maximum support to the parliamentary candidates to enable them to win their seats next year.
On behalf of the MDCs in the region, I am promising that we would give our maximum support to the candidates, work in accordance with them, make sure that everything that needs to be done to make sure that the seats are won will be done on the battlefield, so that the vision that we have to achieving majority of, or to winning majority of the seats would be realized at the end of the day.
Jacqueline Boatima Bonsu is the newly elected candidate from Kranza North constituency. She was thankful to the leadership for the gesture and asked that the support will motivate them enough to hit the grounds as they forge towards breaking the 8 in the 2024 general elections.
We are so grateful. We believe with this one, we can get on the grounds, we can start a campaign with this, because as you know, we need logistics. We need to be resourceful so we can reclaim the seat. So we are much grateful. On behalf of my team, on behalf of all the PCs, we say a very big thank you. We are much grateful. We pray in the future better and more stuff should come our way so we could be able to work harder and harder to recapture our missing seats.
Anna Sabit, Joy News, Teacherman.
The people of Nakbaile, a farming community in the Nanumba South District of the Northern Region, have heaved a sigh of relief following the construction of an ultra-modern maternity ward for the only health facility in the community to support expectant mothers during delivery. Prior to the construction of the maternity ward, expectant mothers in the community used to travel very far to Wellinsea and Bimbilla to access delivery services. There's more in this report.
The construction of this maternity block is to provide emergency obstetric care for about 30 communities within the Nanumba South District of the Northern Region. The aim of the facility is to improve accessibility to skilled care and thus reduce morbidity and mortality for mothers and neonates. The Abuya Foundation, the organization that constructed that ward, conducted some studies and obtained report of positive impact on the outcome for women and their newborns. Alhaji Aminu Idrisu is the Chief Executive Officer of the Abuya Group.
But what informed the maternity was that when we were commissioning the mosque somewhere last year by this time, the community already, they were not having a maternity. So if a woman is giving birth, they have to send the woman to Bimbilla or Wellinsea. And then by so doing, some people will deliver on the way, some people will deliver and have complications and all those things. And then, and during the commissioning of the mosque, I've realized that one of our guys wife were rushed to Bimbala for delivery, which they informed me during the distance. So I pray to God that God should help us to get the maternity.
The midwife at the facility, Jennifer Akuto, explained the impact the maternity ward would make in the beneficiary communities.
When I came here 2021, because the place, our delivery room, we have only 2 beds for the delivery, and our catchment area is large. So when the ladies comes like that, because the beds are only 2, we are not able to accommodate all of them. Sometimes we have to conduct deliveries on the floor because there's no enough beds for us to. And after delivery, we have only 2 beds that is our lie-in, that they can come and lie, and then we monitor them for the 6 hours. So because the beds are only 2, we are not able to monitor our postpartum mothers after delivery up to the 6 hours. So sometimes when they
Opposition NDC Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who was one of the dignitaries who graced the occasion, lauded the CEO of Abuya Group, Alhaji Aminu Idrisu, for using the corporate social responsibility arm of his companies, Abuya Foundation, to touch lives.
We heard about the story of Alhaji Abuya, beginning from the construction of a school for his community. And he followed to construct a mosque, that is a prayer house. And today, he has completed a maternity ward, which signifies the beginning of life. So all the 3 key projects are projects that have been carefully selected. And I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart.
The chances of women dying because of complications of pregnancy and childbirth are still high in many parts of Ghana and around the world. With the construction of this ward, the story of these communities is about to change for the better. For Joy News, Samuel Kojo Brace, Nanumba South District, Northern Region.
He thought his long-cherished dream of studying at one of the best universities in the world had ended in 2019 when he lost his father some months before his final exams. But fate had a different script for the life of 20-year-old Ebenezer Che. 4 years later, he won $2 million worth of scholarships from 6 best universities in the world. He chose Harvard University after he also got admission into the Yale University, California Technology Institute, and 4 other top universities. Eben says he's determined to revolutionize the technology space in Ghana and Africa after his studies. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
As of now, it's exact luck. But as it goes into the market and we are realizing profits, we are trying to upgrade it into a boarding way.
Ebenezer Che, when I met him 4 years ago during the National Science and Maths Quiz competition, he had co-founded Exiatlog, an app that helps in keeping and managing the issuance of Exiats in senior high schools. The app replaces the age-old paper-based Exiats. Ebenezer had just lost his father and was also disappointed he couldn't make it into the NSMQ team of Presec Legon.
It was really a shock. I felt that my dreams were crashing because even the junior high school I attended in Akuse, it's called Akuse International School, and then it's really expensive. So he wasn't too wealthy that much, so he was really trying his best to give me the best academic experience. So even at that point, I mean, the school fees was even more than his salary, but he managed. So we wrote, I was shortlisted for the first 20, and then we wrote again first 13, and then top 10 or so. Yeah, then after that, the final test, they wanted to take 6 students, and then I ranked 7th on the test, so I was just under the line. Yeah, it really got to me, but then I channeled that disappointment to, like, I was like, you know, maybe programming is yours, so just focus on that.
When Eben lost his father, he thought his long-cherished dream of studying in a top university abroad had been shattered. But an interaction with the founder of the Cordon Foundation, Selom Abedu, changed his life. Eben is now in his first year at Harvard University studying computer science.
My experience at Harvard University has been a very wonderful one. And the only challenge here is the academics, which is quite rigorous. But then mechanisms have been put in place to ensure that we excel at academics. For instance, the class sizes are very small, which ranges from about 8 to 15 students per class. And with this, you're able to develop an interpersonal relationship with your professor, and the professor is able to know your strengths and your weaknesses and help you adjust with the new environment. And also, they are very much focused on collaboration. So you realize that when you are solving your problem sets, which is like homeworks in the Ghanaian context, you get to collaborate with your friends to help you think through the process. Now, with the new environment, the only different thing here is the weather and food. But then, yeah, I'm trying to adjust a bit. And what I miss back home definitely is the Ghanaian food and friends and family.
Ebenezer is just one out of the many young Ghanaians who have benefited from the guidance and support of Selom Promise Abedu's Cordon Foundation. The foundation is helping young Ghanaians, some of them from deprived homes, to get into the best universities in the world.
Enoch Danso.
Okay, which secondary school were you?
I went to Pope John Senior High School. I always knew I wanted to go abroad for my studies. I didn't get the opportunity to go to the university because of the finances and all that. So I was just home trying to find my way with the application. I didn't have any assistance, so I just Googled like how to write essays, how to study for the exam. Like just Google almost every day, like 2 a.m. all the time. I was so obsessed. I found a job. I was working as a teacher, and then part-time. I took Susu part-time. So yeah, so during that time, I was like, if I don't do it again, I would have to teach and do Susu for the rest of my life. So I just did it. So I met Selom, the founder of Cordon, and then he was like, oh, that's not a problem. He will help me. He will give me the materials and everything. So he sent me the materials to prepare, to learn for the SAT, and then he also paid for the application. When the scores came out, I got the 1440, and then I did ED. Early decision application to Cornell University, and then God being so good, I got in. Yes.
Selom says his foundation wants to create a new wave of young leaders who are breaking all barriers to study in the top universities in the world.
I realized that there's a big gap that exists between the privileged and underprivileged when it comes to accessing higher education. In simple terms, financial constraints have prevented a lot of people to be able to go to school and achieve their dreams. As I've already mentioned, we are looking forward to supporting thousands of students from underrepresented areas, and we will need more funding to be able to achieve this. Therefore, we are appealing to benevolent people and organizations to be able to achieve this dream.
Since its establishment in 2021, the Cordon Foundation has helped over 100 underprivileged students gain admission to various top-ranked institutions including Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Caltech, UPenn, Brown University and Cornell.
That puts an end to all misery in the world. However, death can also leave families devastated in death. My colleague Caleb Mensah has been speaking with funeral industry players who say it is no longer affordable to bury the dead.
Yes, so I don't think it is expensive because the 1,000 cedis that you pay, it goes with the space, not just only the space, there's digging. We don't just bury in the quite the 8th grade ladder. You still need to put in some form of block work inside the grave before we bury. So all these things has a cost.
Materials move here on the painting, no piano, Genewa. And then how we to have been now, but our ne keti won care maybe be needed to know it too much if you want to go gentle or ma no hit was a she was gentle or a chin here if you know what of you maybe was a she be an effect you for the cap she can't follow this that will go the cap come go back to our one again wow be an how on which
for this government very idea, this government spoiled the burial because there was a time people have been not spending money on burial like this, but now so of the government everything is hardship to do something. So if God willing and nobody can help you or to support to do the burial for this government we are in by this time there to bury is very hard.
The cost of labor, cost of water, cost of cement, and everything goes into it. Depending on how you want to bury will also determine on the amount you are going to pay. So costly is relative, I can say that. Depending on where you are going to bury and the location, that will determine whether. But I can tell you, Awudomi Cemetery is still the costless, the cost-effective place to bury in Accra.
We're still live on Joy News Desk. Let's take a break. We'll bring you business shortly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The African Development Bank has pledged to advance some $2 million to the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Authority. The support is expected to help in enhancing electricity regulation within the region. Here's more in this report.
The amount is expected to help in the areas of technical assistance to address crucial deficiencies in key regional energy infrastructure. Speaking on behalf of the African Development Bank, Calixte Kambanda, the Division Manager for Energy Policy, Regulation and Statistics, emphasized the project's timeliness.
Today, we are launching the technical assistance to ERERA, the ECOWAS Regional Regulator, a $2 million project, which is about harmonization of regulatory frameworks and development of tools for regulation at regional level. So this project is really a very important one because it's, as I said at the opening, it's within the Africa Single Electricity Market and also within the project that at the level of African Union Commission, which is the regulatory harmonization of regulatory framework on the continent. So this project will have two main outputs. So this is one, harmonization of regulatory frameworks across the ECOWAS member countries, and also a development of regulatory tools, but also harmonized across the ECOWAS region.
According to Calixte Kambanda, upon completion, the project is expected to establish a standardized template for power trade across the sub-region.
One of the harmonization templates the project will provide is how to develop the methodology for the tariff. For instance, or how the licensing framework. So if you go to Cote d'Ivoire, you have almost the same licensing framework like in SADC countries or in East Africa region.
Dr. Haliru Diko, a council member and economist at the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Authority, shed light on the specific areas where the funding will be allocated.
So the support we are getting from the African Development Bank is to support us as regulators. You know, ERERA is the regional regulator for the West Africa, to support us to do part of some of our jobs. So they are supporting us in carrying out about 4 projects. Number 1 is on the harmonization of the electricity tariffs, you know, the prices. To see that then in one document you come out to see the tariffs in different parts of West Africa. Maybe this is what Sierra Leone are charging, this is what is charging Ghana, this is what is happening in Nigeria, what is happening in Togo, Senegal, and also that is what and then the methodology of setting the tariff to see that you bring it in one document. And the other support is we want to look at the extent as regulators and as regional electricity market, we are able to attract investment. Are we able to attract investment to the sector? So we want one of the studies will look into the investment that was we were able to attract in different parts of West African countries. And the other one is on the issue of the RIM, what we call the regional sort of information system. It's a sort of information system which is needed by all the key stakeholders within the regional electricity market, including the consumers, including the stakeholders, that is the civil society groups. And so we have an information platform where they can go in and get a lot of information. So these are some of the support which we are getting from the African Development Bank, at least for now, to enable us to carry out these studies, which will be useful not only to ERERA, but all the regulators within the regions, and to researchers and to universities and students who are interested in knowing what is happening in the sector. So basically, this is what we are expecting, the support we are getting from the African.
The initiative aligns with the African Union Commission's push for the African single electricity market, which seeks to seamlessly integrate diverse regional markets into a unified continental power market, fostering increased electricity exchange and collaboration.
Now, calls have intensified for Ghana to invest in cutting-edge solutions to address the lingering issues of data protection and privacy of individuals. In light of this, data controllers, users and processors have gathered at the Data Protection African Summit to discuss and proffer solutions to the emerging issues of data protection and privacy. Delivering the keynote address on behalf of the Chief Justice and Appeals Court Judge, Justice Jennifer Benadazi, called for broader collaboration in ensuring integrity of data collection.
The protection and safeguarding of personal data is increasingly becoming a challenge in the fourth revolution. More recently, Africa has also witnessed an increase in this drive, with countries and industries pushing for more efficient data protection and privacy regimes. Advancing the cause of data protection and privacy in Africa, the annual Data Protection Africa Summit is being organized to discuss and proffer solutions to the emerging issues on data protection and privacy. Delivering the keynote address on behalf of the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, an appeals court judge, Justice Jennifer Benadazi, called for broader collaboration in ensuring integrity of data collection.
We must invest in cutting-edge technologies that enhance data security. From encryption to artificial intelligence, these tools can bolster our efforts to ensure the security and integrity of data. However, our journey towards effective data protection oversight and accountability cannot be undertaken in isolation. African countries must come together, transcend borders, and share best practices. By fostering collaboration and cooperation, we can effectively, collectively address our challenges and build a stronger foundation for data protection in our continent.
Speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of the summit, Executive Director of Africa Digital Rights Hub, Teki Akwete, said The summit sought to explore relevant issues on data protection and privacy in Africa, taking into consideration the current ecosystem.
Anytime there are opportunities to collect more information, people become wary and worried. How am I going to be protected and all of that? And with the advent of these technologies, it's inevitable that information will be collected. So the laws are there to push for more protections to be given to individuals whose information is collected. And I think it's extremely important, especially in our part of the world, as we're embracing these technologies, to also start thinking around these issues and how we can make sure that people are adequately protected in our countries.
Meanwhile, key thematic areas the three-day summit will be focusing on are generative artificial intelligence, data transfers across Africa, data protection and ID systems in Africa, as well as digital trade and data protection under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. For Joy Business, Pius Kojobaka.
That's it for this segment. The news returns after the break.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin this morning. Log on to myjournalline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.